It's Croctober, the official celebration of Crocs fans like you. So whether you like to rock your classic clogs, get cozy and fuss-lined, personalize with your favorite Jibbitz charms, or even, dress up like a clog for Halloween, it's time to tell your story and share your style. Join the Croctober celebration with Crocs fans around the world. Go to crocs.com to discover the range of shoes and find a pair that's iconic like you. Crocs, celebrating you all month long.
This is the sound of your ride home with Dad after he caught you vaping. Awkward, isn't it? Most vapes contain seriously addictive levels of nicotine and disappointment. Know the real cost of vapes. Brought to you by the FDA.
ABC Wednesdays.
Y'all complain all day. We want books. We want paper towels in the classroom. Bet you want raises, too.
I'm still waiting on the paper towels.
Abbott Elementary returns with the new season.
We asked the district for more after-school programs. They gave us $50 for class pets instead.
Critics cheer. Abbott Elementary continues to be one of the funniest and most beloved shows on TV.
What y'all doing out there?
Taking bribes.
Proud of y'all.
Abbott Elementary, Wednesdays, 9:30, 8:30 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Hello everyone, Trace here. The episode you're about to listen to is the recording of our live show at Salem Horror Fest 2024 on Takashi Shimizu's remake of The Grudge. Just a quick thing, so when we were doing this, we had a slight technical snafu with the film, so we had to go up and stall for a little bit before they could get it all worked out. So the first 2 minutes of this episode are actually us stalling while we waited for the movie to start. And you'll hear a break, and after that, that's when we come back after the movie during the credits and actually start the official live show. So just wanted to provide some clarification there. But yeah, please enjoy this live episode on The Grudge for Salem Horror Fest.
Slashers, huh? What's your favorite scary movie?
Not that one.
We'll just start with an intro and we'll see where it goes from there.
This is fine. Trace does this twice a week now, so this is like old hat for you.
Yeah, sorry. I host Terror Tuesday and we're Wednesday screenings at the Alamo Draft House in Denver, Colorado. So, yeah, we're just going to introduce this movie while we see what happens there.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, we'll walk you through it because we've both seen it numerous times.
Yep.
So, just in case people don't listen to the podcast and don't know who the hell we are, hi, everybody. I'm Joe Lipsett.
And I'm Trace Thurman, and we are both writers for the horror website Bloody Disgusting. And we've been doing this podcast. We are in our 6th year, and this is our 2nd year at Salem Horror Fest. So,
yeah, delighted to be back.
Delighted to be back. But The Grudge. Okay, actually, how many people have seen The Ring? Okay, so what the fuck were you doing in 2004? No, okay, so 'cause the whole thing, so in the 2000s, we lost our Scream, post-slasher. That kind of died out with Valentine. And so the 2000s are really marked by, I'm going to say 2, maybe 3 major trends in the horror genre. So we have torture porn, which I don't like that label. It would eventually move into found footage, but also the J-horror remake boom. And that, what?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, the horror remakes of Platinum Dunes. Thank you. Which really got kicked off with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But Joe, what started the J-horror trend?
I don't know what started the J-horror trend.
The Ring. God damn it. So The Ring. The Ring was a remake of Hideo Nakata's Ringu from 1998, and it really, really, really it blew up at the box office. And I think it made almost $200 million worldwide. And then Hollywood was like, "Cool, let's replicate that about 10 more times." And
it's a fad. We love a fad.
Well, the first one that did it was The Grudge. So this was the first big one that came out after The Ring. And because I think The Ring opened with less than $20 million, but it legged its way out to 170. And The Grudge opens with over $40 million in October of 2004. We're good? Oh, cool. Bye.
And now you're going to watch this movie. Enjoy.
All right, so there's the break, and here is the official start of our live show. Who understood the rules of that curse? It's okay. I actually think that's what kind of makes it scary, is that there aren't really defined rules. truth be told, all the paramedics in that house should be dead too, but no one cares about them, I guess.
Yeah, no. It's something I've often wondered about. I mean, it's the kind of film where you think, oh, this really would never end, because every single time somebody sets foot in that house, it's just like, well, there's a new franchise.
Well, it's supposed to be like a virus, right? Like it spreads from person. Oh, actually, so that's the one thing before, because we're not going to talk about the sequels really, unless we have time at the end. But so there are three sequels to this movie. There's The Grudge 2 with Amber Tamblyn from '06, which went to theaters. There's The Grudge 3 with Shawnee Smith, which went straight to DVD. And then 2020's The Grudge, which
we watched part of.
Which we watched part of. But it's actually a sidequel to this film. So that film kind of retcons it a bit to where some other white bitch went into the house between Yoko and Karen, and then she brings the curse with her to America. People don't really like The Grudge 2020, but I think there's a lot to like about it, and it's R-rated, like hard. Oh, which this was the unrated cut of this film. So
Yes.
There was some extra tongue for you and some extra jaw for you.
Yes, indeed. And the people who think that the 2020 film isn't good, well, they can be wrong.
Watch The Grudge 2 and The Grudge 3, and you'll see. But if anyone just joined us, hello, welcome. I am Trace Thurman. This is Joe Lipsett. We are the Horror Queers podcast for Bloody Disgusting and on their podcast network. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, so we're going to do kind of a condensed version of what we would normally do.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not going to talk about the entire film. We're going to talk about a couple of key set pieces, a couple of key characters. But Trace, did you want to give us a bit of an overview of like your relationship to this?
I was so horny for this movie when I was 15 years old. No.
Jerking it in the theaters, folks.
No, sorry. Normally we do a beat by beat like plot recap, but since you've already seen it, we don't have to do that. I was 15 when this came out. I was a kid who my mom would not let me watch R-rated movies, so I was on the hunt for anything that was PG-13. You know, so when going to Blockbuster as a kid, I was like, okay, look at all the boxes because they're all really cool, but which ones are PG or PG-13? Of which there's like 10. And so when The Ring came out, it was such a big fucking hit. Again, as I said, it made like 17 million opening weekend and legged its way to 173. And immediately Hollywood was like, let's do this. And so I think I saw this 3 times in theaters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah, because I went to go see it with my dad, and then I dragged this neighbor boy across the street to go see it again with my dad. And then my sister, who doesn't, he was straight. We may have experimented, but he's straight. I'm not. And then my sister, who doesn't like horror movies, she loved The Ring. I don't know why, but I dragged her to go see this. I don't think she was a big fan of this, but this was also like the year after Buffy ended, and so I was like, I got to see what Sarah Michelle Gellar does with her acting career. Not much, to be honest. After this,
She's got some hits and some misses and maybe more misses, yes. But I think one of the things, yes, Kay totally read us when she was talking earlier. One of the reasons that we wanted to talk about this is because obviously we have a relationship with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Buffy. And so, yeah, when this is her first significant post-Buffy thing, you're like, obviously I'm going to go and support her.
Okay, wait. Name, not The Grudge, a post-Buffy Sarah Michelle Gellar movie. I know. But she started a family.
Girl, no.
Wait, no. The Return. Okay, as my friend called it, this is a movie where Sarah Michelle Gellar walks around doing absolutely nothing.
It's called the boring version of Silent Hill. But yes, you are correct.
But that's also kind of what she does here, though. I mean, like, I love Sarah Michelle Gellar, but this isn't the best acting showcase for her.
Well, okay. So to come back to what Trace started with this, where it's like, well, who understands the rules of this?
Wait, Joe. How did you experience this film?
Yeah, I mean, it was Sarah Michelle Gellar, and I went to the theater, and I was like, this is, what? What is this? This is confusing. But here's the thing. I mean, I think the reason that folks have difficulty with The Grudge and then the Grudge franchise is that, unlike The Ring, it just doesn't have these really super defined rules.
Mm-hmm. And it's out of order, too. It's all nonlinear.
Yes. We're not going to say that North Americans are dum-dums, but when it comes to a nonlinear storyline, we're like, it doesn't make sense.
Wait, half the people...
confusing.
You're calling some of them dum-dums because half of them don't understand what we just watched.
So,
what? Mm-hmm. Well, I will say, so I mean, if you were confused by the nonlinear narrative, the Wikipedia plots for all these films are in chronological order. So if you're like, what does that make any sense? I've seen this movie like 20 times, so I kind of get it. I kind of get it.
But here's the thing. I didn't mean to insult us. I think we're all highly intelligent. We totally understood what was going on. It's but if you look back at reviews at the time, so many critics were like, I just don't really know what's going on in this movie. It's really difficult to understand. It's like they just did nonlinear for nonlinear's sake. And I think part of this is that as North Americans, we're very comfortable with a traditional Hollywood film. It's like, I want 3 acts. I want it to make chronological sense. I want it to have rules that it's going to follow. And when we're talking about J-horror in particular, the films don't often do that. Like, we like to play around a little bit. Sometimes the ghosts are a little bit ill-defined, and we struggle with that as North Americans.
I think, too, with J-horror remakes, and I mean, I'm saying J-horror for Japanese because basically we get The Ring, we got this, we got One Missed Call, we got Dark Water. I think that was the end of J-horror, but then we go to, like, Thailand for Shudder, and then we go to... Actually, maybe One Missed Call is not Japanese. Nevertheless, I think what happens with a lot of the translations is that so much of J-horror is tied into Japanese culture. And if you just copy and paste that to America, it doesn't always work very well. The Ring is the rare exception where I think it does work. But I think what this movie does smartly, it not only brings back the director of the original film who does direct this movie, Takashi Shimizu, but it transplants a white woman, literally named Karen, into Tokyo. I know, she causes so many problems. Just don't step in the fucking house.
But here's the thing. This was before the Karen. But yeah, okay, so that's a lovely segue into talking about one other character that we really,
An actress that we like.
An actress that we like, because the reality is that if you're watching any of the Grudge films, you're going to say, oh, I just wish we got a little bit more of insert actor X, because they are not character-driven films. They are set-piece-driven films. So it can become really frustrating when you're like, I really like, say, Clea Duvall, notable queer actress.
I love lesbian.
Duvall. And she shows up in this, and you're like, well, we got a couple of scenes with her.
Well, I mean, to be clear, though, Bill Pullman, like, he comes in this movie. I love it when a character dies before the opening credits, and then you see their name, and you're like, well, that's not going to be in... But he at least is in the movie later.
Yeah, but the cast is reasonably solid. It's just that very few of these characters are actual characters, right? Like, we get enough of a sense of who they are to understand their journey, but if you're really in here saying, like, well, I hope we get a lot of Clea Duvall, it's like,
it's not gonna happen. Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. I think it's because the curse and the actors playing the dead people are kind of the stars of this movie.
Yes.
Which it's almost like a metatextual commentary. Like, I don't think this was the idea behind Shimizu's want to do this movie, but it's kind of like, yeah, none of you Americans matter. It's only the Japanese people that matter. But it is like, I mean, it's just a very upsetting story anyway.
Well, sure. Yeah, it's always going to be a hard sell because you're not going to get much of a happy ending. Like, as little as we understand the rules, what we do understand is like, well, if you set foot in that house, you're a fucking goner.
Okay, I think the rules are, you set foot in the house, and wherever you go, it also taints that location, which means everyone in that other woman's apartment complex is totally fucked.
Yes, that would be the plot of The Grudge 3.
I did really appreciate the laugh all of you gave when she crawled in her bed, because that is 100% what I would have done.
I mean, that's just queer panic. Oh my God, I got into my bed and there's a strange lady here.
Oh, that's your queer reading of that, you know. I do love Katie Strickland. Katie Strickland's very fun, but she, doesn't have a career.
Boy, he's just coming after all of Hollywood's actresses.
Because I'm complaining about Hollywood because Katie Strickland, in case you don't know, is also the protagonist of Anaconda's The Hunt for the Blood Orchid.
And Redirect.
And she falls into a snake orgy, and it's really fun.
Okay, well, my fun fact about Katie Strickland is that she's actually married to Jason Behr, a.k.a. Doug.
Oh, and actually, this would have been right after Roswell ended, too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Jason Behr, nothing to do in this movie. I don't even... nothing he does matters. That poor man.
No, but he's got great hair, so that's what matters.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so we're gonna circle back to Ms. Duvall because that is our prominent queer reading for this film. So this idea that we've got a bunch of Americans who have been transplanted to Japan and they're having a little bit of a cultural dissociation. And when we covered this film for our editorial series on Bloody Disgusting, we looked at this and said, well, here's this in reality, queer woman who is playing a character in the film that is struggling to locate herself in this culture. So we really love the scene where, what is it, Susan? No, Jennifer.
Clea Duvall.
She goes to the grocery store, and you all got a laugh out of it. She pokes her finger into the dish, she smells it, and then says, "Yeah, that'll do. So I'll take 5 more of these because I can be guaranteed that that's what I like." But I love this idea of first. For myself as a queer person, there were often times where I felt very disconnected to a heterosexual culture, and I felt like I was just kind of looking around being like, what is that straight man doing? Okay, I'm going to mirror that.
Mimic it. Mimic it, yes.
Yes, mimic gay.
Mimic it. No, that's like some Freudian shit going on in my head. Well, no, because honestly, this remake is almost like it's not shot for shot, but it's like it very much mirrors the plot of the original film. The only difference is, Sarah Michelle Gellar's character is not a white woman. She's just Yoko's coworker who is also Japanese. And the characters of Clea Duvall, William Apother, those people that's how you can tell they're not good characters because you can't remember their names, except for Karen. But the one thing Shimizu added to this remake was, that kind of fish out of water, like trying to find your own identity in an entirely new culture. And I think that's why, I don't think this is a great movie. Like, I do think The Ring is kind of the apex of these kinds of remakes, but I appreciate the way they kind of translated it like that. And I think bringing back the original director was the smart move. Although, for The Ring 2, they would bring back the director of Ringu to direct The Ring 2, and that did not work out. So
blame the CGI deer. That's what I do.
Or Hollywood. But, yeah.
Yeah. Hand.
I took it as the boyfriend took the car. Because, when she's like, I'm going to go to this house, and then she just runs there.
Oh, my God. The Buffy run. It's like the second most iconic run in Hollywood.
After Tom Cruise.
Love it. The robot arms. So good.
But, I think, I don't... Oh, this might be me too critical, but I don't feel a lot for the characters in this film because they don't really have much to do outside of like walk in house, get scared, get killed. But it is that moment. It's such a small moment in the grocery store where I really empathize with the Clea Duvall character, and my heart breaks for her a little bit because also she's more alone than ever because she's also the daughter-in-law who's stuck taking care of her mother-in-law.
Oh my God. Fate worse than death.
Grace Zabriskie, by the way, let's give you one line.
Yeah. It's not like she's Twin Peaks royalty or anything, but sure, she can just do this for the whole film.
I think she gasps once when she dies.
This is true. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize too, when Clea Duvall is like dead, I think she's supposed to be doing the death rattle.
The death rattle, yeah.
Did you call your friends like that all the time? Yeah, exactly. I always did. My sister got so mad at me. But no, I was like, oh, maybe she's just not doing a good version of it. Because I don't think that was very clear.
It's subtle. It's subtlety. She's really doing a pared down performance.
Sure.
No, but here's the thing. To me, yes, I have difficulty remembering. Is she Susan? No, she's not Susan. Which one? Okay,
Who has her name?
Matter.
Who has her name? It is Jen. Okay.
It was a joke, but yes.
I really didn't know.
But no, so the reality is that, while I don't think Jennifer is a fantastic character, I do feel something for her. I think in part because I really do love Clea Duvall, but I think that character gets an emotional linchpin in the way that Grace Zabriskie does not, in the way that Katie Strickland does not. Like, the Strickland sort of showcase, which we all had like some good laughs over. But I think that's the most effectively scary part of the film. But I don't feel anything for her when she dies, whereas when something bad happens to Jennifer, I legitimately do feel upset.
I think that's, because in her actual life, I feel bad for her, whereas Katie Strickland just is kind of like the ball-busting like career woman, which is totally fine, but like that's all she's given to work with. But I agree with you. That set piece within her apartment, I think, is the most effectively scary. Actually, did y'all find this movie scary? I was
mixed bag. Okay.
I drank coffee before this, so I was the one that was peeing like 3 times during the movie. But I missed my favorite jump scare, which is when Sarah Michelle Gellar's on the bus, and then like it's like the sounds of the motorcycle, the sounds of the bicycle become the death rattle as her reflection appears in the door. I think that's just a great scare.
Yeah, sound design A+, actual effectiveness of that like CGI.
I think though it's you're not doing it right. No. It's like you're gargling in the back of your throat, but not.
I was Clea Duvalling it.
Okay. Well, and I think that's one thing too. I noticed on my 20th whatever rewatch of this movie is that it's kind of the same type of scare over and over, which is why I think that the Katie Strickland scene works so well. I mean, again, we laugh at the bed scare, but to me, I mean, yeah, it's that's like the one area of your home that's like you feel the safest. Nothing should be able to get you. Like, okay, this is a little bit of a divergence, but give me a second. Have you ever seen the movie Darkness Falls, the Tooth Fairy movie? Okay, so that's not a good movie. Also, though. Whoa. Hold on.
The ringing endorsement.
Hold on. Also stars Buffy, Allen, Emma Caulfield, by the way. Anya for the win. But the opening scene of Darkness Falls, I think, is fantastic and it's a really good short film, but it also has this scene where this boy hides under the bed and he pulls the covers down, and then it's all the evil tooth fairy is like right there. Such a good scare. Nothing else in the movie matches that, but that's why it kind of translates for me with this Katie Strickland scene, where it's like, yeah, like I would want to hide in my bed. And so what if though it's not that you have to move the covers off of your face? The monster's already in the bed with you.
Yeah,
I think it's a fantastic set piece.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I really like it because in some ways, as you were saying in a slightly misogynistic way, she's a ball-busting career woman.
I meant it as a compliment.
But I love this idea that she seems so very put together, and then you get to see that unraveling in those multiple instances, right? It's, okay, I'm not safe at work, and then, I'm having a bit of difficulty with the language, trying to talk to the security guard, and then she just bolts it, and you can see this relief when she gets into the cab, and then when she gets home, it's like, okay, well, at least I'm home. And I love how it mirrors Karen's response when she's with Doug on the bus, and she says, I just want to go home. Because it's such a childlike reaction where you think, I'm scared, I don't feel comfortable, I just want to be at home in my bed.
Well, and I think, though, that's why, because, I mean, I think you could also call this, I mean, we call it a ghost movie, a supernatural film, but I think at the end of the day, this is also a haunted house movie.
Oh, no, it's first and foremost a
well,
haunted house.
okay, but okay, so, when you're watching a haunted house movie, and you're like, just move the fuck out of the house. And I love movies that say, yeah, you can move out of the house. Like, Sinister is a really good one, where it's like, move, and then they move, and like nothing gets better. It actually makes it worse. This is the exact same way. You can go home, but it just comes over to you again. So that's why, while the scares it might be jump scare city, I think the idea of a lot of what's happening in this film does resonate with me and stick with me long after the movie ends. Not in the same way The Ring does, because I think The Ring is better directed personally. But I still think there's a lot of ideas here that maybe have iffy execution, but it's still effective for me.
Well, for me, the difference is that The Ring is at its core an investigation film, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have to go on the hunt and uncover clues and that kind of stuff. The thing with The Grudge is that there is nothing to uncover. It's just, you done set foot in the wrong fucking house.
We do have like a 5-minute sequence where Karen is like Googling with that 2004 internet, and it's okay, like dead family. There we go. Got it.
I love it. I love a research scene.
Did you notice what the Google was called? Was it called Google, or was it called like Search Web, or...
Oh my God.
It was Yahoo. Oh my God! This movie cost $10 million, by the way, so I'm actually surprised they got Yahoo. Made $170 million. It's a general rule of thumb is for a movie to be successful, it needs to kind of make about 3 times its budget to make up for marketing and things like that. This movie opens with $40 million, so it quadruples its budget opening weekend.
Yeah.
So a sequel was inevitable.
It's why we get 4. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, The Grudge. In case you didn't know, also Sarah Michelle Gellar is in The Grudge too, but she's the Bill Pullman of that movie, and the marketing tried to hide the fact that she was not in it that much, but you're just like, everything you see her in, she's just wearing that fucking hospital gown. So if you were like an eagle-eye viewer, you would know it's not going to be the Sarah Michelle Gellar show.
Yeah, no, it's true. But the second one does have Amber Tamblyn in it as her sister, who comes to Japan looking for her. It's interesting because I feel like what makes this film so successful is that element that we talked about where it's not a fish out of water, but it's a stranger in a strange land narrative. And that, to me, is very palatable to a North American audience because we see ourselves reflected in it. By the way, there are normally subtitles for the Japanese
cops
sequences.
Yeah.
So the disconnect you were feeling was doubled down. So you got that experiential moment.
Because I think that's actually, because I mean, truthfully, nothing the cop said was really exposition heavy.
Important.
It basically just uncovers exactly what Sarah Michelle Gellar found out, and it's like, the family, blah blah blah. But I think it was Steven Spielberg's West Side Story that didn't, or it was either West Side Story or In the Heights that they didn't subtitle any of the foreign language in the film, because there's not a lot of it, but it was to be like, I think it actually works for this film too, because as the audience, you're like, what the fuck are they saying, and it kind of makes us uncomfortable in the process.
Yeah, no. And so in some ways I was like, oh, I think something, you know what? It's actually fine. It kind of works.
I mean, your brains are already trying to figure out what's going on in the movie, so like you don't need the cops adding shit to that.
That's true. It's true.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com right now and get up to 45% off select styles. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So, you want to be a marketer. It's easy. You just have to score a ton of leads and figure out a way to turn them all into customers. Plus, manage a dozen channels, write 1 million blogs, and launch 100 campaigns all at once. When that's done, simply make your socials go viral and bring in record profits. No sweat. Okay, fine. It's a lot of sweat. But with HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools, launching benchmark-breaking campaigns is easier than ever. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/campaign to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.
But okay. So, other significant moments from the film that stand out?
I personally like all the bathtub. That wasn't intentional. That also wasn't a good death rattle for me. Scary Movie actually spoofed this in Scary Movie 4.
Yes.
And I actually really like the scene in this movie where the realtor finds the flooded bathtub and he's like, oh, there's a dead child in there. Let me just hide this really quick. Scary Movie 4 like topples on that where the kid keeps trying. He's like, sorry, let me just like, he's like, huh, and the kid's like, ma, 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 and like people are walking by. But I think that's another reason why. Why doesn't this film kind of have the cultural landmark that something like The Ring does? Yes. Because Scary Movie 3 did The Ring, but I think that was a good time. Scary Movie 4, by the time that comes out, well, that movie isn't good either. But like, I think Hollywood thought that this J-horror craze is going to take off, but none of them are as successful as this movie. The Ring 2 was successful, but severely underperformed. Yep. One Miscall did absolute shit. It's considered one of the worst movies ever made. Shudder didn't do any money. Dark Water didn't make any money. So I think they kept trying to make this craze happen, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, and for me, the reason that this one at all works is in part because, yes, they capitalize on Sarah Michelle Gellar. It's got the benefit of being the first one after The Ring, which
2
people
years
actually
later, though.
did like.
Yeah. Well, but I think kids like this. Like, I remember being in high school and like everyone was talking about The Grudge. So like, people went to go see it, and people I think liked it at the time, but critics weren't wild about this movie.
No, because when you look at it, especially now with the 20 years hindsight, because yes, folks, this film does turn 20 in October. I think it's very easy to dismiss as little more than jump scare factory, right? And it's a lot of the same kinds of things. So
then to loop this back around then, what's another set piece that you really like?
So the thing that I end up liking more each time I successively watch this film is, and I appreciate that it is difficult because it is so fucking misogynistic, but the black and white memory set piece at the end of the film. Like, it's really hard to watch because we've got animal abuse and it's all violence targeting women.
Well, also, so that a lot of that is director's cut only. So like the scene with all the hair, where the kid's pushing the dad's corpse and he's hanging by the hair, none of that's in the PG-13 cut. You get a longer shot of Yoko's tongue falling out of her mouth, a much longer shot of the jaw on the floor. But yeah, the abuse, the domestic abuse in that scene is increased significantly for the director. And this would have gotten an R rating, the version we saw.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pretend like it's easy to watch, but I do think that it's very effective, and I like the way that we even use the kind of light transition. So Sarah Michelle Gellar, like, she gets illuminated when she's experiencing
I love the light switch. I think the way that is told, it's very Oculus, right? Where we're like doing two different time periods. I think that actually, and that's the thing, I think I asked you beforehand, like, would this film be as effective, if you find it effective, by all means, if it was told in chronological order? Like, because to me, the film is a puzzle. Like, Like you're putting the pieces together as it's happening, and I don't know if it would be as successful if it was told chronologically.
Yeah, so spoiler alert, the third film is mostly told in a linear fashion, and I can tell you that it's kind of boring.
Yeah, because but I think that speaks to, though, the strength of this film as a whole. You know, if it was told chronologically, it's not going to be as effective. So what are we left with here?
Yeah, which is just the jump scare
Just jump scare factory.
And I think inherently for some folks that is going to do it, like not to diminish some younger viewers, but I think if you're really just going to the movie because you want to be scared.
Oh yeah, this will do the trick.
This will do it. And it's got Buffy, and it's got, like it feels a little bit fun, like I'm experiencing a film from a different culture.
But it also, I mean, I think it's directed fine, but there is kind of a lethargy, I think, to the pacing in this movie.
Oh boy, by the time we get that sequence with Bill Pullman.
Oh, I don't give a shit.
I'm like, girl, I love you, but also get the fuck out of here. I want to wrap this up.
But we wouldn't have that great bit where like the kid just meows into the window.
And he doesn't react?
Actually, that is like, do you find cats scary? That's the Grudge. Oh, you can do that!
You know why? Because I have a neighbor child who screams all the time, and I swear to God, half the time it sounds like a cat. So I was just like, you know what? Verisimilitude.
But I sorry, we're all over the place, y'all. I apologize, but like I do like the double blah 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 blah. When Sarah Michelle Gellar finally sees Bill Pullman, I love the switch. It's not even like necessarily it's black and white. It's like this super grainy like home video thing. So you mentioned the switch from the light to the bright light to the dark light as she goes down the stairs. But there was also a shot that I totally forgot existed where we're on the ground with Sarah Michelle Gellar as she's trying to save her nothing boyfriend, and the camera tilts up, and it's like the wall gets the grain as we shift into the grain. Like, I think that's really really cool.
Also, I'm not going to lie, the idea of, I'm always forgetting her name. Is it
Kayako?
Kayako, thank you, yes. The shot of Kayako's head just like sliding down.
Oh, that's a great scare, right? Because she's like right in her lap, and then boom, 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 boom. They also brought back the Japanese actors for all the ghosts. So those are the people that were in Ju-on. This film was only remade 2 years after the original film. But weirdly enough, though, in a way that Ringu was critically acclaimed, Ju-on was not critically acclaimed. So they were remaking a movie that didn't get a great reception, which is why I also think maybe that's why this hasn't held on as much.
Yeah, we remade a film that wasn't quite as good, and we ended up with a remake that's not quite as good. The Hollywood story. All this to say that The Grudge has an interesting reputation. Part of the reason I think we wanted to bring it back after 20 years is because we had an editorial and we thought it was an interesting take, but just it feels like a film that has dropped out of the cultural consciousness. Like people just don't really talk about it all that much. Whereas, when The Ring celebrated it was like, got The Ring, everybody. Ah!
But again, I think both films were as big at the time when they came out. The Grudge just didn't have that lasting imprint. And actually, can we talk about the sequels just a little bit?
Yes, we have 2 minutes.
We actually can go a little bit over.
Okay. We have 5 minutes.
We have 10 minutes.
Okay, so
are any of them good? Are any of them better than this?
Okay. Contentious opinion. I'm very fond of the 2020 film.
I am too! I was so boggled by the fact that everyone hated it. Like, that movie got horrible reviews.
Yeah, so this is a film that comes out either in 2019 or 2020, depending on where you're located in the world. But it stars Andrea Riseborough,
John Cho, Betty Gilpin, and Lynn Shaye's in it.
Jackie Weaver. So again, it's like this deep bench stack cast. Once again, you're not really going to get a ton of any of them because it's very similar to this, where it's like this
dead
set piece dead.
But it's R-rated, which is I think really good. So they made it with the intent of that, so it gets to be a lot bloodier and gorier. But it's also like a mean movie in a way that I don't think any of these other ones are. So it's not a perfect movie. It was really tampered in post-production. Like there's 30 minutes of deleted scenes on the Blu-ray for that film.
Yeah, there's 2 scenes with William Sadler playing a character, and you're just like, you can feel someone editing it as you watch it. Well, but where is this extra footage?
The director of that film, though, was Nicholas Pesce, who really made he made a mark with The Eyes of My Mother. The Eyes of My Mother. It's a really good black and white, like upsetting horror film. So he really brings it. And I feel kind of bad because I feel like he's in director's jail now because of the reception of that film.
100%.
But again, I think while the script of The Grudge 2020 is not the best, I love the aesthetic of it. I think, again, it just makes you feel like a really bad person when you're watching it. But it's also one of the few movies to ever get an F cinema score.
Mm-hmm. Wear it with a badge of pride, yeah. It's very grimy. It's a little bit dirty. The interesting piece about it, though, is that it is set entirely in North America.
Yeah.
So we open with the character, as we saw when we briefly watched a couple minutes of it. It's the character who Yoko is in replacing. So she's like, I can't be here. I got to leave. And she goes home, takes the curse with her, and then it spins out from there. But it's honestly just a very mean film. Like, we're killing a pregnant lady in that movie.
It's really brutal. Okay, but then so for The Grudge 2. So full confession, I saw The Grudge 2 in theaters, and it was one of the first times I ever remember like hating a movie. Like, I felt so betrayed by it. It was that and Stay Alive. Those are the two that I hated so much. No, because I think when you're a kid, you think movies can't be bad. Movies are all good. And Stay Alive and The Grudge 2 were the two where I was like, oh shit. Movies can be bad.
And spoiler alert, we're going to cover Stay Alive one of these days because
people keep requesting Stay Alive. I haven't seen it since theaters. So I haven't seen it in 20 years. So you know what? I will watch it and I will figure it out. I just remember hating that Sophia Bush gets wasted in that movie.
Yeah, but now that she's out as queer, we can cover it.
Yeah, we can. But no, The Grudge 2, it's just Amber Tamblyn coming around. We've got Ariel Kebbel. It's kind of the same, but there's a schoolgirl plot that I think is maybe in the original Ju-on that they carry over into The Grudge 2, but that's about it.
Yeah, so it's a new...
Thank you. The original Ju-on, The Curse.
Yeah, there's a trio of schoolgirls, and Ariel Kebbel is the new girl, and Teresa Palmer, the Australian actress, is the kind of ringleader, and they sort of bully her into going into the house.
Oh, so it hasn't burned down in the second one?
Oh, no. People always try to burn the fucking house down. It never works. Just like either build up your pyromania skills or maybe try a different approach.
Mm-hmm. But overall, I remember... Okay, so I'd only seen The Grudge 3 once because it was straight to DVD, but I remember liking it more than The Grudge 2.
And you're wrong. Yeah.
Well, because I think I hated The Grudge. I need to revisit. Sorry, he watched all of these movies to prepare for this. I just watched this one. Well, I'd seen them all before, but what's the big difference with The Grudge 3, though?
Okay, so The Grudge 3 is mostly linear, but it's kind of fun because it takes place immediately after 2. So part of 2 is set in Chicago, I want to say.
Yeah.
And it's an apartment complex. So, part of the story is there's a neighbor boy who is investigating a tenant that's down the hall.
Because he's the only survivor of the second movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And inadvertently, it's like, oh, this is the same apartment building, so there's other people in that building who end up like wandering into the wrong room or the wrong.
So they're all fucked.
So they're all fucked.
Wait. Is it located in the room, so you have to walk into the apartment, or
the apartment?
That doesn't make any fucking sense.
This is what we're saying. The rules are very malleable, which I do think we struggle with inherently.
Well, that's actually one of my big questions for you. So do you think that the ghosts of Kayako, Takeo, and Toshio, are they actually the ghosts of them who are killing everyone else? Or is it just that the curse takes on their shape and kills people? Because, we know when someone dies in the grips of a powerful rage, the curse is born. But is it just the curse acting on its own, or is it the people as ghosts themselves?
Yeah, this is a leading question because he asked me this 2 days ago.
Because I don't know.
We both sort of agree that we think it's probably the latter. It's more like a manifestation of this grudge that, unfortunately takes the form. Because I think the reality is that, in each film, there's often a character who takes on the qualities of the abusive husband/father. So it's like they just lose their shit and kill somebody else. And then that's how the curse sort of propagates in the general populace, as people say, oh, okay, well, it's just Trace went mad and then he killed Joe. And that's how we hand wave it all away.
That's actually come very close to happening several times in our 5-year working history. And vice versa.
Truly, yes. But I think at the end of the day, like, I don't know why Kayako would get off on killing any of these people. Like, the kid seems very passive, like mostly just likes the cat.
The kid's the bait.
Yes. I mean, to catch a predator? What?
Sorry.
To catch a police officer?
To catch a police officer. That's, I guess because that cop is like all my partners. So the cop, Nakagawa, never went into the house whenever... He had to have gone into the house.
He went in to get Karen.
No, I know, but was he investigating the original murders?
He was.
His partners did.
So in the second film, they actually talk about it because his son is one of the characters. And the son is like, my dad had a bad feeling about the house, so he never went in until later.
I think that's the one piece of subtitles that we miss because he's looking at pictures of him and his people outside the house, and he's tells two of my partners died after going to that house. So that's what that is. But I guess I always thought that he walked into the house too. Mm-hmm. But I guess the curse can just decide when it's right to strike.
No, we just see him in the bathroom, and then the door shuts, and then because that's
we don't have time for that.
Well, that's the other fun thing about the curse is that half the time the bodies just disappear, and it's like maybe they'll show up when it's convenient for somebody else to find it, or they're just gone.
But the other thing is though, because when you die, so I don't think because no one else in the movie shows up as a ghost. It's just the family, right?
Yes, until the sequels.
Well, and so that's actually one of the big differences between this and the original Ju-on is that Ju-on ends with the Sarah Michelle Gellar character dead, and the camera goes into the attic, and you see her corpse, and she starts doing the death rattle, which implies that once you die, then the curse takes your form, and it keeps going like that. And so that is what happens in the second one, but I won't spoil any more in case you really want to see The Grudge too.
Oh, the curse is looking for witnesses to the trauma.
Interestingly enough, I feel like the character that becomes the ghost in the second movie, it's because that character gets choked out by the Takeo character.
Right, yeah.
So that would imply that the cop in this movie should now be a ghost in this little puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that frustrates me is a little bit is that we always get the opening crawl about this is how it works, and then characters will explain it to us later.
Yeah.
But it always says in sorrow or in rage, and I never see anybody dying in sorrow.
Oh, actually, maybe that's Kayako.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So maybe that kind of maybe that's why it takes all three of them instead of just the husband. Because the kid's really sad because his cat got thrown against the wall.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. Soon. I did laugh when that happened, but only because it clearly looked like a dummy cat that was just thrown against the wall. It was very funny for me. The cat was very pissed off.
I mean, rightfully so. Yeah.
So we only have a couple minutes left. Does anyone have any questions before we close this out? Please.
Like a queer villain?
Well, yeah. Like in the hierarchy, is that something that can you extrapolate queerness out of that in any way? Like queer rage or something like that? Or am I just trying to get something out of
Not as I want to say one thing before we actually go into because I think the legacy of the character is what's most fascinating to me because I don't know if y'all know, but there's a Sadako versus Kayako, and
very entertaining.
It's pure camp, and so I think it's one of those things where a film comes out and it's really, really, really scary, and then then we start parodying it, and then it just goes into camp. So none of these movies, well, maybe some of them are. There's a lot of them, but I think with Sadako versus Kayako, I was like, oh, wow, these are now queer icons because they're just these fucking divas that meld into a big blob and fight each other. So that, to me, is where the queer legacy comes from. But if we're looking just at this film and the original film, let's say,
I mean, yeah, we are always accused of reaching, but I will say that some of the activities, particularly the surveillance video footage where she's like, tee-hee, I'm playing with the lights, oh, I'm appearing in the shadows, diva mode. Oh, I'm crawling right up to the camera and I'm checking my reflection in it. Eyes.
But I think maybe there's a more interesting version of this where she loves a woman instead of the Bill Pullman character. So I think if I want to reach, I think it's more so she's just unhappy in the marriage she's in, which you could view as just unhappy with heterosexual marriage. But I think the Bill Pullman character complicates that. But she does become more of a diva once she goes out. So.
Yeah, I think the reality is that as queer people, we connect with this because of either the actors, but if we, I think it's a bit of a stretch to make a really good argument for a queer reading of Kayako, but I think it's a very easy feminist rage story. If you look at this, like, I'm fucking pissed off that I had this innocuous crush on my teacher and my husband murdered me and my child for this, and now I just kill every fucking bitch that comes in.
I think everything about the Kayako and Toshio specifically, though, it's all very oral because everything that's scary coming out of them is coming from their mouth. It's always wide open mouths, and it's not maybe necessarily queer, but it's a very kind of sexualized way of looking at it, I feel like.
Yeah, which is interesting because the curse is inherently it's not an oral tradition, right? It seems like nobody was fucking warned about this because everybody just keeps going back into that damn house.
Well, I'm also like, the Japanese are like, yeah, this is just what we believe. And I was like, then why the fuck are you going in this house?
I mean, to me, I see a lot of parallels between this. You know what? I'm going to throw this grenade and then we're going to shut the session down and we'll talk to you outside. But I see a lot of parallels between this, something like Amityville, but also the Hell House movies, where it's like, just don't go in those fucking houses.
Yeah, actually, because the rules of those movies are similarly kind of ill-defined. People can just walk out of the house as a ghost. Or I guess if you, well, I don't know, actually, whatever. But yes, I agree with you. Yes. I personally am not like a big griper when it comes to character decisions in horror movies, because I do believe that when you are under a certain amount of stress, like a fight or flight stance, like you will just kind of make stupid decisions. I do believe, I mean, do we even see if Karen has a cell phone? Cell phones exist in 2004, but
yes. Yeah.
Okay. But he couldn't get a hold of her, and he said he saw her research and she went to that. He could have waited for her, but to me, like, him waiting for her at the house is like, that's a very male complex thing, right? Like, I have to do something, but
yeah,
he does nothing.
I see this almost as commentary on The Ring, where it's like, oh, know what really hit hard in that film, where the kid plays the tape, and you're just like, no.
Yeah,
and this feels very much like I shouldn't have left out my research. No.
Yeah, but it's to me, it's just like a man trying to be a hero, and it fails spectacularly, which I kind of love that part about it.
Oh, but I love how he looks like a damsel when she holds him. That's just like, oh, Doug.
That's actually what I do like. I mean, we didn't mention that a lot. Yeah, but he is the damsel. Like, Sarah Michelle 100%. Gellar is technically a damsel for the entire film, but she has agency.
Yes.
Doug has zero agency in this movie, and so it's up to Sarah Michelle Gellar to save him. So I think it would be interesting if the gender roles were flipped and it was him going to save Sarah Michelle Gellar. I think I would actually like it less.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is what he does, but yeah, whatever.
Plus, then we wouldn't get the Buffy run.
So that may not answer your question. Like, it's not going to help you like that decision more, but that's just kind of how I think of it. Yeah. Anyone else? Oh. Mm-hmm.
What I'd love to see is a movie like this told from the point of view of the ghost.
Yeah. I think. I don't know. I mean, I will say there is a movie coming out very, very, very soon called In a Violent Nature. That is a slasher movie told. Yes, exactly. But as for the ghost, I'm not sure. Yeah, but he's not even the main character in Beetlejuice, though. Like, yeah, because it's very much the Maitlands and Lydia's story. But I don't know. If anyone has any answers, though, please find them and tell us.
Actually, now I'm trying to think. I know. Shoot. There's...
You got 2 seconds. Go.
Okay. It's the movie where we're following people. Oh, The Others.
Oh! I mean, I guess by that measure, The Sixth Sense, too.
Yes.
Yeah, but I know. Sorry. Spoilers for a 20-year-old movie.
Actually, it's 25, darling.
They don't know that they're ghosts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And well, I think that's the problem, right? So the response for the people listening is at home.
Yeah.
was, oh, well, they don't know, like, we don't know that they don't know because it's all part of a twist. And I think inherently that's one of the problems with, if we wanted to see things from the ghost perspective, the movie needs to either be upfront with it or we're just always going to get the twist ending.
But I do think, though, I mean, again, we see this as a genre all the time where it should be trope after trope after trope after trope until we do something different with these subgenres. And I think that'd be a really great way to change it up. So again, we'll see how In a Violent Nature comes out as a slasher told from the POV of a serial killer. But yeah, I mean, fuck, give me that ghost movie.
Yeah.
Huh?
Casper.
And
with that, we are the horror queers, everybody.
Cross out the Grudge.